It's 3:47 a.m. when Ellis Pinsky's bedroom explodes open. 5 armed men stormed in, guns drawn, surrounding the terrified teenager hiding behind his gaming setup. His mother's screams echo from downstairs. His father's desperate pleas pierce through the chaos. Just 72 hours earlier, this same 15 years old had pulled off the impossible, stealing $24 million in Bitcoin in less than 1 hour. With just a laptop, a phone call, and a plan so simple it fooled billion-dollar security systems. But Ellis made one big mistake. He thought that he could get away. He was wrong. 3 months before that nightmare, Ellis Pinsky was non-existent at Irvington High School. Straight-A student who had lunch on his own, always sitting bent over his computer when students were chatting about parties on the weekend. However, what they did not know is that their quiet classmate had already earned more money than the salaries of their parents combined. Ellis was not playing video games at the age of 15. He was trading cryptocurrency like Wall Street. Ellis had found something that would alter everything. The cryptocurrency industry, with a value of hundreds of billions of dollars, had a weak point so visible that it went unnoticed by almost anyone. The key to it was your phone number. As billion-dollar companies constructed their own digital fortresses using military-grade encryption, they were all using the same weak point. Phone companies were not considering crypto security. They were considering customer service, and customer service might be weaponized. January 15, 2018. This was something Ellis had been waiting to do. Week after week he had been scrolling through social media, searching to find the right target. Then he found him. An investor in cryptocurrencies who was fond of showing off. Expensive cars, luxury watches, exotic vacations. More to the point, there are screenshots of his Bitcoin wallet. The man had 1,500 Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin was more than $24 million, and Ellis was well aware of how to take it. The plan was not complicated. It did not need to hack into secure systems or bust firewalls. It just required a phone call and a good story. Ellis grabbed his inexpensive burner phone and called the customer service at Verizon. He did this by telling the representative that he had lost his phone during travel. He was impatient, almost desperate, as though a man who had been led to the desert without his money. All the information he provided was directly off the social media of the target. Actual name, date of birth, even the city in which he lived. The representative could not have doubted him. In a few minutes, Ellis received the phone number of the target. When the switch was turned, Ellis was in charge of more than a number. He had the key to all the accounts associated with it: bank logins, emails, cryptocurrency exchange. All the authentication codes that were expected to secure the target showed up directly on the phone of Ellis. But it was not that easy. He had to find people on Twitter who would help him in exchange for money. But a few of these men he trusted scammed him. Ellis could not do much about it. After this, he finally created an account with Coinbase and entered the email of the victim. He clicked the forgot password. Several seconds afterwards, a reset code appeared on his screen. Ellis's heart raced. He typed it in. Just like that, he was inside. $1-million wallets were in front of him. He wasted no time. He started to carry out Bitcoin. First into lesser accounts, then by exchange, and lastly, into mixing services which were used to conceal the trail. One transaction after another obscured the trail until it would be nearly impossible to track the money back. $24 million disappeared out of the rightful holder in less than 60 minutes and were back in the wallets under the authority of Ellis. He was leaning back in his chair when it was done. His hands were trembling, his chest aching, and yet he had no power to restrain smiling. He was one of the wealthiest teens in America at the age of only 15, all with a single phone call. But Ellis was not alone. Others were watching too. The criminals were now starting to understand that a phone number might be worth more than a bank safe in a digital money world. SIM swapping is no longer a gimmick among some people. It was quickly emerging as one of the most hazardous types of cybercrime, and Ellis had recently scored one of its most outrageous heists. Within hours of the stealing, the word started circulating in personal forums and on coded chat rooms. A $24 million cryptocurrency heist was news that could not be overlooked. Traders, hackers, scammers, and others alike guessed the identity of whoever could have pulled off such a daring attack. The technique was not new to many, and SIM swapping had been increasing to one of the most lucrative cybercrimes, but it was the scale that shocked people. Never had so much been stolen in so little time. It was not a reaction of admiration. Money in the stolen cryptocurrency world does not fade away easily. Bitcoin may be constructed so that it can move anonymously, yet even with mixing services, it has patterns. It took only a few days before people started asserting that they had found the origin of the attack. There were hints in screenshots and personal communications of links between the stolen money and a teenager in New York. The whispers grew louder. This was not a seasoned criminal, but a high school student. The federal investigators were already on the move in the meantime. The FBI opened up an in-house case, which was named Operation Chain Reaction. Agents started tracing the stolen cryptocurrency in the blockchain, developing elaborate flowcharts of its movement. Records with the phone company, account resets, IP addresses, and so on all assisted in narrowing the field. And, after a time, one name kept on appearing: Ellis Pinsky. On paper, he was an unlikely suspect. He was an honor roll student, involved in school activities, one who was characterized by his classmates as being quiet and smart. He was not the type of cybercriminals that the investigators were used to, but the facts told another story. He had access to stolen accounts and the timing was too good to be overlooked. The urgency was clear. The more time Ellis was out of prison, the more dangerous it was. The stolen money could not only disappear altogether, but other people who had a score to settle might get him before. To the FBI, it was now a race to establish contact before the situation got out of control. In Ellis feels them watching. Cars parked too long. Foreigners who are aware of his timetable. His parents can see the difference. Their son hardly comes out of his room. Ellis can't run. $24 million in wallets that he controls, and which each day is becoming more valuable. Getting desperate to cash in, he begins to make wrong decisions. Transferring Bitcoin via exchanges with identity checks. Every transaction leaves digital prints of fingers. On the 12th of February, Ellis makes a deadly mistake. When cashing out 50 Bitcoin in a local exchange, he uses an email address associated with his real name. The transaction is flagged by the exchange. The alert reaches Agent Chen at 2:17 a.m. At 6 a.m., federal officers surround the Pinsky house, but they're not alone. At 3:47 a.m., the front door is kicked by 5 men with guns. Ellis is awakened to shouts and turmoil. The online world collapses into harsh reality where men raid his room, seizing laptops and phones. It is too late when criminals find themselves surrounded by FBI agents. Guns were shooting, families were fleeing, news helicopters flew overhead. Ellis is handcuffed and paramedics are healing his wounded father. The Bitcoin is stored in wallets that only he has access to. It becomes a sensation of the trial. Ellis is suspended in juvenile court, inconceivably young in a suit that is too big. His traumatized parents see their son getting charged with sentences. The $24 million in Bitcoin? Most was never recovered. Only $2 million changed into cash prior to arrest. The rest, $22 million, is in the digital limbo, a fortune that there is but can never be touched. Ellis is sentenced to 2 years of juvenile detention, 5 years of probation. His online life is practically terminated. The case changes everything. Telecommunication firms enhance security. Transactions use new processes. The FBI develops special crime digital units, but they all fail to deal with the core issue Ellis revealed in a digital environment. The weakest link is not technology. It's human nature. Ellis Pinsky now works for a cybersecurity company, where he assists companies in guarding against the same attacks he used to master. The irony is not lost on anybody. The teenager who has stolen $24 million is now being paid to ensure that others do not do the same. His story, however, brings up questions that continue to plague the digital era. How can a teenager, who is only 15, outwit billion-dollar security systems using only a phone call? What do we do to secure the money that exists as digits on the screen? And in a world where a teenage bedroom is being turned into a ground zero of international crime, who exactly is safe? The $22 million that Ellis could not get. It remains out there, stored in digital wallets, and increasing in value with each Bitcoin bull run. A fortune lies somewhere in the blockchain and the keys might not be utilized. The ideal crime does not always involve escaping with the money. It is sometimes about knowing that certain prices are too high to pay.